Alright, my book is Sex, A Natural History by Joann Ellison Rogers. There it is. Alright, I would not recommend this book for any average reader. I think it's more aimed towards anybody who's moderately versed in the world of biology or sexology. Reason being, Rogers takes a completely biological perspective throughout most of this book, up until about chapter 10. And for the last two chapters, she goes into more socioeconomic or sociocultural perspectives about why we do things and how it even came into existence, and how our genetics mutated to that point. While there's a mammoth amount of meat in this book, there's also a lot of fat that you kind of have to cut around. After reading to about the 6th chapter, you start to realize this book becomes a little bit more repetitive. One example of this would be a rat study that they mentioned in this book, where they inject rats with either testosterone, serotonin, or other types of drugs. After about the 5th time that they mentioned in the book, you feel like you've read it a few times by that point. I think it would be a good idea if Mrs. Rogers actually made this into more of like a textbook, where instead of citing everybody at the end of the book, it would be nice to have her cite everything throughout the entire book. And that's kind of the feel of the book. It feels like like you're reading a textbook with so many different studies to prove her point. So it would be nice to have those cited during the book. My favorite parts of this book come from when she delves into whether the traits that we have, the behaviors that we have, are genetically conserved or if they've mutated over time. In a way, it's kind of the same thing. One example would be the Red Queen theory, where we evolved to have sex with being couples, right? Two-person sex, to fight off diseases. Now, the only issue with that is that it becomes an infinite loop, because then the diseases get stronger to try and kill us off, as we try to defend ourselves by bringing off more offspring that are going to be stronger genetically to fight off the diseases. And the diseases get stronger, we get more offspring that's stronger, and so on. Overall, this book is a really interesting book in some places. Other places it becomes very repetitive and long-winded. I learned a ton of new information about my own biology and sexuality in this book. And it's very interesting to read about how and why sex ever even came into existence. So, if you push through the rough patches and you're looking for a good book to read, even though I think there's probably some other, or better books I should say, out there that you could read that has the information a little bit more organized in a way that won't want you to put the snooze or put the sleep button on. I think you'll be able to find some very interesting information in this book if you do choose it. And that is Sex, A Natural History. Thank you.